Dart skill presents addition of fractions. When two or more fractions are on the same denominator, let's say 5, and if you want to add them, you simply add the numerators and keep the same denominator on the answer. So the answer is going to be something over 5, and if required, you could simplify the final answer. So if we have a 1/5 plus 2/5, on the answer we do a 1 plus 2, and that is equal to 3/5. Similarly, if you wanted to add the fraction 3/10 to the fraction 5/10, you would do 3 plus 5 on the top and keep the same denominator, which is 8/10. And then if needed, you could simplify this fraction to its lowest term, meaning divide 8 and 10 with the greatest common factor, or GCF, which happens to be 2. 8 divided by 2 is 4, so we have a 4 on the top, and 10 divided by 2 is 5, so we have a 5 on the bottom. So 3/10 plus 5/10 is equal to 4/5. But then the obvious question is, how do you add two fractions that are on different denominators? For example, if you have 3/5 to be added to, let's say 1/10. If you do the same process and do a 3 plus 1 on the top, what do you do on the bottom? Do you write a 5 or do you write a 10? So this actually doesn't work now, because the two fractions are not on the same denominator, unlike the previous two examples. So the idea is to get these two denominators the same by finding their LCM and writing down both these fractions in their equivalent forms so that they are on the same denominator. The LCM of the denominators of these fractions are called the least common denominators, or the LCDs. The LCM of 5 and 10, the least common multiple, is 10 itself. Or we could also say the LCD, least common denominator, of 3/5 and 1/10, the two fractions this time, is 10. 10 is the common denominator. This fraction is already on something over 10, so we don't need to change that. And then how do we change 3/5 to something over 10? Simple. Multiply 5 with 2 to get a 10 over here, and if you do that, you got to do the multiplication on the numerator as well. So you have a 3 times 2, which is 6. 3/5 is equivalent, or is exactly the same fraction as 6/10. So you could as well use 6/10 in place of 3/5. 6/10 plus 1/10 is equal to, now they're on the same denominator, so we could do a 6 plus 1 on the top and keep the same denominator. Therefore, this is 7/10. 3/5 plus 1/10 is 7/10. Let's try and add 2/3 with 3/4. Now the LCM of 3 and 4 is 12, or the least common denominator of the two fractions is 12. So our job is to rewrite 2/3 as something over 12 and 3/4 as something over 12 and add them up. Now 3 times 4 is 12. So we got to multiply the 2 with 4 as well. 2 times 4 is 8. So 2/3 is equivalent to 8/12. And similarly, 4 times 3 is 12. So you want to multiply 3 with 3 as well. 3 times 3 is 9. 3/4 is equivalent to 9/12. Time for us to add these two up, two fractions on the same denominator. 8 plus 9 is 17 over 12. So you want to change it to a mixed number because this is an improper fraction. Not necessarily you always have to do it, but it's a good idea to do it. 17 divided by 12 is 1 whole, and the remainder is 5. 5 goes on the top over the same denominator, 12. Let's now try and add two mixed numbers. Let's say you want to add 3 and 3/4 plus 4 and 1/6. The idea is to add the integers together. 3 plus 4 is 7. So we have a 7 plus add the fractions together. 3/4 plus 1/6. And that is equal to 7 plus the least common multiple of 4 and 6 is 12. So change both the fractions 3/4 and 1/6 to something over 12 and add them up. 3/4 is 9/12. We already did that a few minutes ago. So let me just go ahead and write down a 9. And then 1/6 is 2 over 12 because 6 times 2 is 12. So you want to multiply 1 with 2 to get a 2. And therefore we can add these two fractions up now and say that okay, this is equal to 7 plus 9 plus 2 all over 12, or 7 plus 11/12 written as the mixed numbers 7 and 11/12. That's how you would add mixed numbers together.